One of the coolest things about the Olympics was my hometown support. Coming back and driving up Route 95 from the airport and seeing my name, congratulations on the bridges and all the restaurants, congratulations, Scotty. Like, there were hundreds of them. And that was so cool. And I was so proud to not only represent the USA, but represent, Seabrook and the Seacoast. And I was just very proud and very happy that they had my back.
Welcome to Seacoast Stories, a weekly podcast where we interview the people and businesses of New Hampshire and Maine. I'm Trey Farkas. I've produced some of the most popular podcasts in the world, and since moving to the Seacoast in 2023, I've fallen in love with the area and its inspiring people. And now I am on a mission to bring the Seacoast closer together, one podcast at a time. This Friday, hundreds of American athletes will march in the opening ceremonies of the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy. A very familiar experience for one Seacoast legend, Scotty Lago of Seabrook, New Hampshire. 16 years ago, Scotty made that same walk for the Vancouver Olympics as a member of the U.S. ski and snowboarding team. And just a few days later, Scotty made the Seacoast very proud when he won the bronze medal in the halfpipe, a contest in which Shaun White, arguably the greatest snowboarder of all time, took home the gold. For Scotty, the medal represented 15 years of hard work, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of his dreams. A journey that began when he first picked up a snowboard at 7 years old. But the next morning, not even 24 hours after his biggest achievement to date, the 22-year-old received a phone call that led him to pack his bags early, thus cutting short what was supposed to be the greatest 2 weeks of his life. On today's episode, Scotty explains what happened that night, why he still doesn't think it's a big deal, and also the media frenzy that ensued, which included an invite from Dr. Phil and a visit to Jimmy Kimmel's show. Plus, we discuss the winding road he's taken after ending his snowboarding career a decade ago, which includes a headphones company, a YouTube channel about hunting, and perhaps most importantly to Scotty, his renewed relationship to his faith, which he rediscovered last year on a men's retreat in the woods of Maine, where Scotty claims God spoke to him directly, a conversation that, he says, saved his marriage and changed his life. Scotty Lago is exactly the kind of person I love talking to on this podcast. Because of his perspective on topics that I am unfamiliar with, such as snowboarding, hunting, and Christianity, these conversations allow me to expand my horizons and to learn more about the many different ways people experience this one beautiful life we have. If you also enjoy keeping an open mind, learning about people and why they do what they do, then I welcome you to follow Seacoast Stories on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube so that you can get new episodes right when we publish them every Monday. Thank you in advance. And as for Scotty, he's a Seabrook native, and he currently lives in Southampton with his lovely wife Bridget and his son Ryder. In addition to the bronze medal he won in the Olympics, Scotty won silver at the X Games in 2011, silver again in 2013 at the World Cup, among many other accolades. But to begin today's episode, Scotty takes us back to how he fell in love with the sport that made him famous both on the Seacoast and around the world.
Yeah, so I born and raised in Seabrook, New Hampshire, just one town over. So there's really not a lot of options around here as far as big mountains. I mean, like the mountains, the White Mountains are about 2 hours away. So, I started off local down in Bradford, Massachusetts, which isn't too far away, small little hill there, but like Alaska size when you're a kid. So it doesn't really matter. And then also Amesbury Sports Park. It's no longer in existence, I don't believe anymore, but they had a dedicated snowboard park right next to the tubing hill. And I bought a season's pass there. My dad would drop me off and I would just hot lap. So yeah, that's kind of where I started, Amesbury Sports Park in Bradford.
Wow. The first time you got on a snowboard, what do you remember feeling?
I honestly don't even remember the first time. I remember the first time I knew that I wanted to snowboard. Like I remember I was on a lift with my dad and we were skiing when I was a kid. And I remember like watching snowboarders come down. I'm like, Dad, I want to snowboard. You know, it looks really fun. I remember that. And I remember
Snowboard
getting my
professionally?
first. No, I just wanted to snowboard.
Okay.
You know, yeah, I was 7 and it looked really fun. So I remember that. I remember getting my first snowboard. I actually don't remember my first time snowboarding. It probably wasn't memorable. It was, you know,
You probably fell a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm not a good coach for beginners because I don't know. I don't remember. Also hit my head a lot throughout my career.
I've heard that. So when did you know that you wanted to do it professionally?
Oh, I don't know. Probably. I mean, I think every kid, you know, when they're playing a sports looks up to the professionals. So it's like, you know, early, you know, when I was a kid, I don't think that's abnormal. Like I was saying, you know, I think every kid, but I just was on my board so much that it actually started to become somewhat of a reality. You know, started competing, did a lot of local competitions, you know, was kind of dominant in my age category, you know, for the East Coast. And in like 1999, I went out to nationals. I won nationals, won 6 national titles. And yeah, I just loved it. And half pipe and slopestyle, which is jumps and rails. And eventually that led me into like the backcountry and filming. And I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but yeah.
So I heard you on a podcast called Light in the Wilderness Ministries. I hope I'm saying that right. And you mentioned something that really caught my attention. So you went pro snowboarding at 16, but you had already been traveling a lot across the country for various competitions. But you were 14 years old when you did a solo trip for the first time without your parents. And when you reflected on that first solo trip, you used the word corrupted. You said that first trip was when you had been corrupted. And I'm just wondering what exactly you meant by that.
Oh, I mean, you know, I was young. I was influential. I was, you know, I hadn't done too much traveling, right? I was kind of under my parents' guidance, you know, and when I struck off by myself, you know, I was exposed to drinking, smoking weed, porn, a lot of like, I guess like sexual corruption, you know what I mean? Just like I was hanging with an older crowd, you know, like I really was, you know, like kids in their 20s, you know, and here I am like 14, you know. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's really what I meant.
And that's just kind of a part of the culture of snowboarding or being a young athlete.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. So the years go on and you start to become very elite. And so much so that in 2010, you make it to the Vancouver Olympics. You qualified. When you first got the call that you were going to be representing the United States at the Olympics, what was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the coolest things. You know, I was so proud to make the team. And, you know, I've said it before, it was one of the harder things to do. I mean, it was as hard as getting a medal in the Olympics. Like, and I hadn't even set my sights on doing well at the Olympics. I just wanted to make the team, you know, because the U.S. has a stacked team. We had a lot of good riders. There were probably about, 20 riders that had a legitimate shot at, you know, doing well in the Olympics.
Right, including Shaun White, who was your teammate for a long time and the best to ever do it, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to compete against Shaun. He's unbelievable. He's such a competitor, and I mean, he's just impressive. You know, like everyone would turn and watch him practice, you know, or compete, and he's a great competitor. Had a great mindset, and you would see under pressure he would perform better. You know, and that's what elite athletes do. You know, when it matters, when you're under the gun. Tom Brady, you know, Tiger Woods, he's in that level.
I imagine getting to the Olympics was a lifelong goal. It probably is for a lot of Americans who are in outside of the big four sports.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a goal of mine for sure. And it was a dream, you know. I was just, you know, I remember thinking like, how cool would it be to go and represent United States of America? And, you know, I consider myself a patriot and I'm very proud to be American. And so getting able to represent the U.S. at the Olympics was an honor. And I was very, very, very happy.
Yeah, when you made the walk in the opening ceremonies accompanied by hundreds of other American athletes who are some of the very best that the world has to offer. You're donning red, white, and blue. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, like when you first go to the Olympics, like the amount of gear that you get is unbelievable. Like I still have gear, probably just like in duffel bags and duffel bags of USA branded gear. And I just wanted to run the ones that just said big USA on the back. So it was really cool to represent the U.S. Opening ceremonies was really cool. I mean, honestly, I was so focused on my event. I didn't really even like take in too much. I was just kind of there to get it done.
Yeah, you were in competitor mode. Once your events are actually done, then you can really start to take it all in.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm very curious to ask you because I feel like, you said you're patriotic, and I feel like in these days being patriotic is looked down upon. And so the athletes that are about to make the walk for the opening ceremonies representing the country at a time where, this is 2010 when you were making the walk, things have changed a lot in America since then. And right now, the moment we're speaking, America's in a pretty tough moment. Put yourself in the minds of these athletes who are about to make the walk in Italy. What do you think is going through their minds in terms of representing the country?
I mean, I still think every athlete is very proud to represent the U.S., because regardless of your, I'm assuming, obviously you're probably talking about political divide. You're right. I mean, the country has probably never been more divided, which really hurts. I really wish we could come together more. But I think that every athlete is still very proud to represent the United States because we have opportunity here. We have infrastructure to support, the sports, and it's just a tougher field. We have a lot of great athletes here.
Yeah. On what day of the Olympics do you have your competitions?
It was pretty early on, I believe, into the Olympics. I hadn't watched any events.
Yeah.
Once we're there, we're practicing, so we're going up to the hill, practice, then we come right back down, we stretch out, we work with our physio, make sure everything's dialed on our end, relaxing. And we're just kind of in our little, we really were in our bubble. I mean, we didn't stay at the, where everyone else stays. Yeah, we didn't stay at the athlete village. We had our own spot off to the side because we wanted to separate ourselves from kind of the madness of the Olympics. And the plan was to move back into the athlete village after our event.
Could you feel how much bigger and different this was than the competitions you had been in prior to that?
I didn't feel that until after the Olympics. And then it really hit me. I'm like, wow. I mean, obviously I know like Olympics is a big deal, but I didn't realize how big of a deal it was until after I competed. Maybe that was a good thing because I really didn't feel much pressure. And I think primarily I didn't feel much pressure because everything was set. Like my boards were tuned. My body was good. I was mentally ready and we had everything just set and good to go. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off you when you've taken care of everything that there is to take care of, and you're just going to go do your thing.
And that half pipe events that you would win the bronze medal in, you said you had never done that run before?
Yeah, oddly enough, it's kind of crazy. I put down that run. I had done the tricks before, but I had never linked that finals run together. And I knew that I had to do it. And I knew that I could do it, because I've done all the tricks. I've just never linked them all together in a run. And I put it together there in finals for the Olympics. And right when I landed, I knew that I was going to be good, or I was going to be on the podium. And if not, that was a run that I wanted to land either way. So I was fired up.
Before you started that run, what is going through your mind? Because this is the biggest moment of your life up until that point. Every single thing that you've done in your life up until that point was to prepare you for that moment. Is that playing through your head at all?
It's not. It's really not. And like, maybe this is why, I mean, like I was saying, I really didn't feel much pressure, but snowboarding, we didn't need the Olympics. It was a big bonus, but regardless of the outcome, I would still have sponsors. I would still be doing that as my profession. It's not like, luging or curling, you know what I mean? Where like, hey, this is it. You trained 4 years for it. Snowboarding was going to keep being snowboarding, and I was going to keep doing, what I was doing, regardless of the outcome of the Olympics. So I think maybe that had a little something to do with it too. Shooting snowboard videos, shooting for magazines. That's all stuff that I love to do. And that was going to be there for me regardless.
So your teammate, Shaun White, he won the gold medal in that event. And whoever wins gold, they get to hear their national anthem played. So he wins gold, you win bronze. You're both up there on the podium. The national anthem is playing. When you got that bronze medal put around you with Shaun next to you, Star Spangled Banner playing, what did that moment mean to you?
It was really cool. It was very special. But one of the coolest things about the Olympics was my hometown support. It really was. Like, coming back and seeing the support locally meant the most. Flooded with interviews and whatever, but like coming back and driving up Route 95 from the airport and seeing my name, congratulations,
wow,
on the bridges and all the restaurants, congratulations, Scotty. Like, there were hundreds of them. And that was so cool. And I was so proud to not only represent the USA, but represent, Seabrook and the Seacoast. And I was just very proud and very happy that they were, that they had my back.
Yeah. We really do live in the best area.
We do.
When you would describe to your teammates where you come from, I'm from Seabrook, New Hampshire. I'm from the Seacoast. What would they say?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, actually. Like, when I first started going out to like California, Colorado, like, people thought I was from like Europe. Like, I had a really thick accent, I kind of lost it over the years, maybe because I spent so much time on the West Coast.
Is there a New Hampshire accent?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. I mean, well, like, the farther north you go, it's like mixed between like Maine, and then you get Boston, and like, I don't know, and like, not producing the R's, pronouncing the R's as well. Like, my son's name is Ryder, my dad would call him Ryder.
Yes.
Right. Dad's name's not Ryder.
So you alluded to it earlier. You did end up being sent home a little bit early from the Olympics.
Yep.
I'm sure you've told the story ad nauseum. What happened on the night that you won the medal?
Yeah. So I got the medal, and we went to, it was a Red Bull party. And when you get a medal, you wear it out. It's just kind of what you do. I have never worn it out ever, obviously, besides that night. But it was like late in the night, I was drinking, and some girl like wanted to take a photo, like she was, give me oral. And someone took a photo of it, and then I went to TMZ. And next thing I know, I get a call from my agent in the morning. She's like, "You are in trouble." And I remember thinking, I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, nothing can get me down right now. I just won a medal, But the United States Olympic Committee was not too thrilled with that photo, and didn't think that I represented U.S. well, and had booked me a ticket home. And I had the right, or like I had the right to essentially like a little like hearing there, to fight to stay. But my agent thought it was best interest maybe if I just kind of slowly walked away. And so that's what I did. And so I missed closing ceremonies, and I didn't get to go to any other events, to watch any other events. So my Olympic experience was pretty short, but like the media that came from that was just insane. And like, to be honest, it did not affect like the snowboard world. Like, they fully had my back, didn't affect anything professionally after the fact. In fact, maybe even made it better. But yeah.
Wow. When that photo was taken, you were done competing?
I was done competing at that time.
And you were just looking forward to just having your Olympics experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go to cheer on US at other events, hockey or, ski racing or whatever. And yeah, just bop around and do the whole thing.
Pretty wild. Because 2010. So this is the time when everyone's pretty much starting to have a cell phone in their, like a decent quality camera cell phone in their pockets. I can't imagine what being an athlete is like now. You have to be so much more mindful of what you're doing and who you're hanging out with.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's also, I think it's a little bit looser now. Like, I don't know. Like,
so you think had you been photographed today as the Winter Olympian, you think it'd be no problem?
I think it'd be no
really
problem.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So when you got the call that you had to go home, what were you feeling?
Well, after I saw the photo, I was like, oh, okay. That's not
No
that
big deal.
bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
could be
in
way
my
worse.
mind, you know what I mean? But also at the same time, you know, I have to think that I'm not just representing like myself. I'm representing like, you know, everyone in the US. You know, there
Right.
are, you know, people who don't agree with that. And I don't agree with it now, you know, looking back at it.
Yeah. But you were a 22-year-old kid.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So I was disappointed. Really, you know, my grandfather was disappointed and he was upset, and that broke my heart. So I was very, very disappointed to let him down. But he was very understanding and was upset just for a little bit. And yeah, that's all good.
So you said you had so much support when you got back from the Olympics. Was the Seacoast still, you know, very much by your side considering what had happened?
Yeah. I mean, you know, when I came home, people, absolutely. Yeah. That's where I saw the support when I came back from the Olympics.
Cool.
Yeah. People had my back and were very proud and I don't know, you know, it was a deal, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But definitely, like, I had to turn down a lot of media. Like, everyone just wanted to talk about that. And I was just like, no. I'm like, I remember like doing interviews. I'm like, all right, like, I will do an interview as long as you don't, you know, bring up like the scandal, you know, and like people are still bringing it up. I'm like, all right, interview over.
That's annoying.
Like, we're done.
Yeah.
Which is like so whack. But I remember like, actually Dr. Phil wanted to have me on, which is pretty funny. I never ended up going on Dr. Phil because I didn't want him to, you know, diagnose me with some sort of weird thing. But ended up going on Jimmy Kimmel show,
right?
Which was cool.
And he threw you like a fake closing ceremony.
So I got my closing ceremony. He pulled in like everyone off of Hollywood Boulevard, you know, and like there's SpongeBob and Batman, and he just, you know, pulled people off the streets and they paraded through. It was funny.
Yeah.
I never even met Jimmy, like before the show or after the show, just met him on the show. So what you guys saw, and it was fun. I remember thinking like I was pretty well versed in interviews and I can handle myself on TV. But like, I remember I would let up just a little bit where he would like sense a little weakness in what I was about ready to say or whatever. And he would like pick up and take over really quick. So I recognized that he was like, I was like, wow, he's very good and very aware. And he was good at his job. That's what I realized during the interview.
I would hope so.
Yeah, exactly.
Of that
right.
stature. I mean, you're just a kid from New Hampshire. I mean, Southampton, I'm told, is a town of 800 people.
Yeah.
Was it overwhelming at all being, you know, getting all of this attention, showing up on TMZ, going on Jimmy Kimmel, getting requests from Dr. Phil?
No, it wasn't really overwhelming. And maybe at times, you know, it was a little much because honestly, I enjoy self-alone time. You know, I enjoyed chilling by myself. And maybe that's the reason why I like love hunting too, because I love to go hunt by myself. So, you know, there was always something going on and, you know, we're always throwing parties at our house. And, you know, cause I had my own spot and all my friends lived with me and it was a great spot for all of us to hang out and party. So there was always something going on for sure.
For a lot of athletes who compete at the highest level, it's their entire identity. Everything that they know is that sport. And then I'm always concerned for them once they officially, in your case, hang up the snowboard. I know you retired just more so not like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. More so just injuries. You'd broken over 30 bones, I believe. And so the injuries, especially the head injuries, were piling up as well. So
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like that I was physically incapable of doing it. Because like I fully was, you know, it was more like I didn't really want to put myself out there. You know, I didn't want to risk any more injuries because I've seen a lot of friends who, you know, broken necks, traumatic brain injuries, you know, and I was at a point where I'm just like, dude, it's not really worth it. Like I love snowboarding, you know, but like it comes with injuries, especially at that level, you know, like if you're not pushing yourself and you're not riding that, I don't know if I'm going to land it or not type thing, like you're not doing your job well.
Right.
So I didn't want to like half-ass it and like milk my career. But, that being said, I kind of just like slowly stepped away. I never like officially announced my retirement. Maybe I can say it now. 20 years later, you guys, I'm done.
Wow. Breaking news, everyone.
Yeah, breaking news.
Scotty has announced his retirement. Will not be competing in this year's Olympics.
Yeah.
Coming up, how one of Scotty's businesses ends up on Shark Tank, the passion project he's recently started pursuing, and a conversation with God in the woods of Maine that changed his life. All of that in a moment, but I'll tell you about someone who loves taking photos of the woods of Maine and New Hampshire, and that is the Seacoast's very own Jenn Bakos. She's a local photographer, and she has been for 15 years. And she is very enthusiastic about small business, which is why she loves taking photos for small business owners, especially in the hospitality space. Jenn's reputation is pristine. Her clients rave about how easy she is to work with, the client care that she exudes, the passion she displays for her work, the speediness with which she delivers her final products, and last but not least, the quality of her photos. Jenn leaves no stones unturned, and it's a big reason why she's become one of the most sought-after photographers on the Seacoast. If you're a small business owner, Jenn wants to work with you. And just for Seacoast Stories listeners, Jenn is offering a sweet deal. If you tell Jenn that you're a fan of the show when you send her a DM at Jenn Bakos Photo on Instagram, Jenn will give you 10% off your first photo shoot. That's 10% off your first photo shoot by DMing JENNB as in boy, AKOS photo on Instagram. Refresh your headshots, update that website, polish your social media, and I promise you, you won't regret it when you work with Jenn Bakos. But before you get those headshots, you might want to consider taking a visit to one of my favorite Seacoast businesses, Oomph Salon. Oomph Salon has been a fixture in the Portsmouth community for over a decade, known for, of course, exceptional hair, but also their strong culture and an elevated yet approachable experience. The salon specializes in custom hair color, precision cuts, extensions, and curl services, all of which can help you look and feel your best before you hit nearby West End spots, say Mojo's, Louie's, Loaded Question, Treeline. We've got a bunch of them. Oomph is proud to be rated the highest rated salon in New England on Google, reflecting years of consistency, trust, and client loyalty. The team is made up of career-driven, highly trained stylists who are supported through ongoing education and a culture that prioritizes growth and sustainability. We love that. If you didn't know, Oomph Salon offers $45 happy hour haircuts, available Tuesday through Thursday from 2 to 5 p.m. for same-day calls only. Perfect for those like me who are fortunate to have flexible schedules. For more info on Oomph and their offerings, visit oomph.salon. Thank you to Oomph Salon and to Jenn Bakos for supporting today's podcast. Now back to Scotty Lago, who tells us about the next steps that he takes following the end of his decorated snowboarding career.
Actually, I kind of just floated.
Yeah.
I floated for a while. I bought a couple of houses. I eventually sold them and used that money to buy the spot that I'm in now. And I love doing like work around the yard. So it was just like a lot of home improvement and hanging with friends and starting a family with my lovely wife, Bridget, spending time with her, still doing a bunch of traveling, random stuff, man. I don't know. Just wake up and look around and find a project to do and do it.
So when was the next moment where you found something to really sink your teeth into? Because I know you had a headphones company at some point.
Yeah, which actually was very successful at a time. We were making women's specific headphones. We were in, all Apple stores, all Best Buys, Nordstrom. But the guy who was running it just was pretty bad at managing.
I hate to see it.
Managing and just
bring it back.
Yeah, ran it right into the ground. Believe it, we were on Shark Tank.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we got ripped apart. We deserved to be ripped apart.
Why?
We were just so far in debt,
okay.
Yeah.
When you say women's headphones, I would think headphones are pretty, down the line gender-wise. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why we wanted to do something, something very specific, like there were companies out there doing, women's specific headphones, but like, it was like a guy's headphone and they would spray paint it like pink, and call
That's
it,
where my mind went.
we wanted to like make it look like a piece of jewelry, And we did a good job. Like the headphones were awesome and they were good quality. We just managed it, very bad. But it was a weird transition, like snowboard crew making women's headphones. A lot of people are like, what? How did that work out? I know. We just saw an opportunity in a category that wasn't being hit and we jumped on it. But yeah.
So I want to transition to another passion of yours, hunting. You've basically been doing it your whole life growing up in this area. You have a YouTube channel now. It's called Wild Lago. That's where you do a bunch of vlogs while hunting, which we'll talk about that in a moment. I don't really know any hunters around here. Like, is that a big thing?
I mean, it is, but it's just maybe not talked about, during the hunting season. Like, everyone is everywhere, especially around here.
Okay, I have no idea what the laws are in the state of New Hampshire. If I wanted to go hunting tomorrow, I never have before. If I wanted to, what are the steps I need to take to make that happen? Well,
first of all, there are a million laws and they're changing all the time. So like as a hunter, you always have to like refresh, make sure. There are a lot of laws and it's very hard to make sure that you're following all of them. So your first step would be you would have to go to a gun hunter education, or it used to be bow hunter education and gun hunter. Now I think it's just hunter education. So you go in, it's like a 2-day course, and you learn, everything from ethics to, making sure that you're going to be safe out in the woods and you know how to, handle a gun and make sure your backdrop is good. And so you get, certified, you take a test at the end, you get your certification, and then you buy your New Hampshire license through New Hampshire Fish and Game.
A hunting license.
A hunting license, yep. Depending on what you want to hunt, there's all kinds of options from bear to a moose lottery to white-tailed deer to waterfowl, ducks and geese, to squirrels, rabbits.
And do you have to get licenses for each different animal?
Pretty much, yeah. There's, there's licenses that will cover you for multiple categories, but yeah.
And then what about getting a hunting weapon?
Pretty much anything will do, like Native Americans did it with a stick and string,
Right.
So
like, can I just go to the kittery trading post and just buy a gun? Like, I don't need to pass any background checks, or how does this work?
Not in
New Hampshire.
Not in New Hampshire. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Or like you can buy it off, a friend, or someone could give you a gun, you don't need transferring paperwork or anything like that, just looked at as like a pair of shoes,
right?
Or something like that,
Wow.
So, there's a huge learning curve to, with hunting, because you have to learn about the animals. And the funny thing is, believe it or not, like I've learned so much about the animals and I've learned how amazing they are. And my love for them, it actually has grown, oddly enough, people might be rolling their eyes like, okay, you hunt them. I do, but I respect them and I love them. I do it as ethically as I can. And I do. I believe that, hunters do keep the population in check. Without hunters, the population would do something like this. Yes, it will level itself up, but like the population would rise up to a peak until there's no food left, essentially, and then crash super hard and then back up and crash super hard. This is over years, and hunters just kind of keep it steady.
So that's really the point of hunting, is to keep the population of the animals in check.
No, the point of hunting is to to eat meat, venison, white-tailed deer, turkey, ducks, all delicious, all very healthy for you.
So you're eating the meat that you hunt down.
Yeah. Yep. That's the whole premise of it, to go out. Some people go, to the grocery store to buy beef, I go out in the woods and get my own venison and turkey and duck. And it's all organic. It's all free range. It's all very healthy meat. And the whole process, you can either process it yourself once you get it, cut it up, butcher it yourself, or you can bring it to a processor who probably does a better job than you and will label all the cuts and stuff like that and package it up very nicely.
Wow.
I'm a horrible cook though. And I got it. So my wife, Bridget, she's a fantastic cook, but she doesn't love to cook wild game. Well, that's because she doesn't like to eat it either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd feel like if you're going to be with Scotty, you got to sign up for eating some wild game.
Right? No.
Shout out to Bridget, the sister of recent podcast guest Emma, who owns the yoga parlor. Now, you mentioned the ethics and the morality of it. I imagine there's a lot of people listening who are disgusted by the things that you've just said about killing animals. So I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. Like, how do you justify going out and shooting animals?
How do I justify it? Well, I mean, I'll just own it and just say that I love it, so like that's primarily why I do it, is because I love it. I love the challenge of it. You're getting meat, which is like why you hunt, like this is why we hunt. No one just goes out and hunts. Like that's like an absolute like misconception. Like no one goes out and just shoots an animal and leaves it. Like this is for a purpose. This is for, to gather, food. That is why people hunt. Also, like the state agencies who oversee all animals, realize that, hunting is an incredible tool to keep populations in check, to keep them healthy. And it's honestly a conservation tool. It really is. So how do I justify it? I mean, I justify it. This might be an extreme example, but like, nature is pretty cruel. When a coyote gets a hold of a deer, the way it takes it down is not pretty. I'm not going to go into like details, but it is compared to starving to death because, lack of food, which is absolutely would happen, you put them down quickly. And they're very ethical. Like a well-placed shot, honestly, the animal does not feel it. It really does not. Like I've shot deer with my bow and arrow before, zipped, passed right through them. They jumped and started feeding again, and then literally wobbled and fell down. Done well, done right, the animal does not suffer. It really doesn't. And I guess that's my best. But, as a hunter, we really, take pride in doing it the right way and making sure that we recover the animal. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I can tell that that you really care. And I also should say that you do keep some of the meat for yourself, but you also do donate some of it to the New Hampshire Food Bank, right? Yeah,
I do. Yeah. And there's a big need for venison. Believe it or not, like New Hampshire Food Bank, every year, they request, the hunters see if they can donate deer for the food bank. So I'm fortunate enough where I can hunt all the time, and you can shoot a lot of deer around here because there is a high population. So, there's only so much deer that you can have. I'm good for 1 or 2 a year for myself. And I'll donate the rest to people in need and people who truly want it and care about it. So that's what I've been doing for years.
Yeah. That's awesome that you do that. I can imagine, I think if I were to go hunting, what sounds most appealing to me about it is going out into the wild and just kind of like the rawness and realness and old timiness of that, because I work in the media, like I'm online all day. I'm disconnected from nature most of my life. And I think to go back into that environment, the environment that we ourselves come from as well, I think there'd be something really powerful to that. And also I just know anytime I go hiking and I'm up there, just the silence, the sheer silence that you hear is the most calming feeling in the world. So I imagine all that time in nature is honestly very, very good for you.
Yeah. How disconnected we are, like, especially nowadays. So true. We are. Even myself, I spend so much time in the wilderness, but the knowledge and the skills that we've lost over the years is unbelievable. And I think it's cool, like stepping back and, kind of
having survival skills. If you threw me out into the woods for 48 hours, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. And those are skills that I kind of wish I had.
Yeah.
This is really how you're spending the majority of your time these days now, right? You're trying to make this into an actual full-time career, both time-wise and income-wise.
Yeah. That's the goal. I went all in on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. It's really good. I can tell.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
I watched a video this morning of you and your friends hunting on Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
You guys were trying to keep the population in check there.
Yeah. And that was another like conservation thing, like the island is, overpopulated, and because it's hard to get there, right? Like there's not enough hunters there, so the deer population is just booming. And the real thing is that there's the Lone Star tick there, which, directly correlates with ticks, right? And that they carry a disease called alpha gale, I believe it's called, which essentially you become like allergic to red meat, which the hunter's worst nightmare, right? And so like deer ticks, dog ticks, they're all kind of in, obviously in relationship with a heavy deer population, the more ticks you have. So that's that was a big reasoning why they wanted to take the deer population down on the vineyard.
So, dumb question. Does Massachusetts hire you to come help take down the deer population? Or
yes, I'm a hired hand, no.
I have no idea how this works.
Nope. You got to pay.
You have to pay.
Yep. Yeah. You got to pay for your license because you're getting, your license fees go to the Fish and Game towards, the management of the species that you're hunting.
So I'm just trying to figure out how you piece together an income hunting. I know you have sponsors. 6 Hour is one of your sponsors, right? And they're a local firearm manufacturer.
Yep. Based here in New Hampshire, and they're like premium law enforcement, military, and their hunting rifles and hunting gear is a little bit, smaller chunk, but everything that they do, I'm a true fan of 6 Hour, and like very happy to represent them because they're here in New Hampshire. And but everything they do is unbelievable. Very, very impressive company. They're a huge company.
Yeah.
I think they have like 7,500 employees.
Wow.
I could be a little off.
And are they just stationed here, or do they have offices everywhere? But like here's their home base.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have, I believe, multiple locations, but like their world headquarters is, outside of Pease. They have a big facility in Exeter and Epping, and their optics division, which is like, binoculars, scopes, rangefinders, that's out in Oregon, out in Beaverton, Oregon. But I don't know. They also make ammunition. So they have a big ammunition factory in, I believe in Arkansas, which they just opened up. So I think they're pretty spread out.
Your most recent video, I saw 95,000 views, and you have like 6,000 subscribers right now, which means, hey, if you post consistently, you're on your way.
Yeah. And I'm just starting to, I'm really just tapping into it, so I see the potential. So I'm making, money off there, and I'm making money through my sponsors. Originally, I just wanted to add more value to 6 Hour and lacrosse with long form content, because I was doing mostly everything through my Instagram. Right. And it's just like, people really get to know you, and you could tell a better story on YouTube, which is, platform you can just, go for however long video that you want. So that's what I've been doing. I've been, self-filming, which is very hard.
Yeah.
Hunting. I mean, because
oh my God, yeah.
A lot of times you just have literally like a split second
right.
for an opportunity, and I'm supposed to get that on film.
Yeah.
Get my reaction,
Yeah. And you have to be laser focused on actually accomplishing the task of getting the deer.
Yeah. So it's been very challenging. Wow. Honestly, the biggest challenge
difficult form of content creation. My God.
Yeah. It's the biggest challenge for me has been editing, so I'm just like teaching myself how to edit, and that's what I'm up to.
Well, the stuff looks great.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best of luck with that. So another big part of your path here is your connection to Christianity and to God. And I, on that same podcast that I referenced earlier, it was really cool to see, maybe not cool is not the right word, but really powerful to see the way that you were talking about this life-changing trip that you had just gotten on. For the people who can see, you're wearing a sweatshirt that says Pursuit.
Yeah, this is actually where it happened.
Yeah. And you were talking about this being a life-changing moment, these few days away, I believe in Maine, right?
It was, yeah, it was a man. It was a like, well, first of all, I was, raised as a Christian, right? Throughout the years, I would go to church when I was younger, and I always had what I thought was, a good relationship with God. I would say prayers, but I really wasn't practicing Christian. And throughout the years, there's been so many of my prayers answered. And I really feel like God, gave me the gift of snowboarding to glorify him and to be a good example of a Christian, how people are supposed to be, right? Caring, loving, compassionate people, which is hard to do as humans, I kind of squandered that opportunity, and I squandered my calling that I really truly felt like God had put in my life. So anyways, that's kind of like my background. So going in, a friend of a friend who I met over the years, someone who I look up to, a former Marine, just an awesome guy. But I knew him before he found Christ, and I met him after, and I saw God working in his life like no other. And it was he has one of the coolest testimonies, and I've never seen a man so clearly blessed by God. It was so clear to me. I'm like, I want what you got, man. Like, you are being blessed, And he's like, dude, I went all in. And so anyway, so he was having this men's retreat. It was like a 3-day men's Christian retreat. It was called Pursuit, where you go to pursue God. So my goal was to go to learn more, and to see what I got out of it. And like the first 2 days, there were a lot of people having some amazing experiences. Actual miracles were happening there. And it was very, very cool, but I wasn't connecting, and I was praying for it. And we had a day out in the wilderness, and I just brought my Bible out and a couple letters that people had written me. And it was one of the most powerful things that has ever happened to me, where God spoke to me, not audibly, but he was there, and there was not a question in my mind. And there is not a question in my mind that God exists. What I experienced out there was just so powerful, so cool. He answered everything on my heart. And true miracles happened, and I can't deny that. So like after that experience, I'm a changed man, and I called my wife and I told her that I'm a changed man. And I thought that was going to scare her, because I knew that what I had just experienced, changed me, and there was no going back. And I was afraid that I was going to scare her away, from our lifestyle that we lived, going out, partying, drinking, and what I didn't actually realize is that she needed me to change. She told me after that she was probably going to divorce me. She had already made her mind up that she was going to divorce me. And here I am thinking that, I was going to scare her away. And that was another moment where God's like, do you see what I'm doing here? And like, God does really work in mysterious ways. And that's that's one of the examples.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just kind of diving all in. I'm reading the Bible, and I'm trying my best to live the way that God wants me to live. And, I'm not perfect, not by any means, but I'm trying, and I'm trying to surround myself with other Christians, and just trying to be compassionate, loving, empathetic, caring. These are all good things that people should strive for. And, yeah, that's my story.
I love it. There's a lot to chew on there. I'm really curious to ask you, because if you can even put this into words, when you say God spoke to you on the Pursuit trip, what exactly does that mean?
So there were just multiple things. Everything just happened one after another. This is when I was by myself. Just kept happening and kept happening and kept happening. And then like I would think something in my head, and I would pick up the Bible and read, And literally what I was just thinking in my head, the answer would be there in the Bible. Another example was the day before I went into the wilderness, I didn't have a Bible. So my friend gave me his Bible, and he's like, here you go. You can use my Bible, and I grabbed his Bible and I just scrolled through all the pages, and I just stopped on one page for no reason at all. And I just pointed to a section. I read it. And I remember reading that verse and being like, oh my goodness, it was something about like the righteous are as bold as lions, right? And like, that's how I saw my friend, the former Marine, the guy who went all in for God. He was bold as a lion, right? And I looked at him and I'm like, I remember hearing that verse one time and being like, that reminds me of Craig, So the fact that I just flipped through and I point my finger and that was a verse that from this guy who inspired me to be here, I was like, whoa, that blew me away. But I didn't say anything. I just go, that was badass. And I look at him and his like mouth is open and like he's almost like white. And I'm like, we didn't say anything. So when I was alone in the wilderness, he had written me a letter. He had already written me a letter. And in that letter, he wrote that verse. This is before I opened up the Bible, and he's like, God is speaking to you. And the crazy thing is, when I was reading his letter, it was words of encouragement. That's what he wrote me. I knew that verse was going to be in there. Like do you know what I'm saying? And I was like, and I know let me guess, this is the verse that I picked out, and let me guess, he had written it down. I flipped over the page, and sure enough, and then he wrote me, like, dude, I cannot believe when you, wrote that. And that was just, I guess that's a human way of explaining what I experienced out there. But I remember just a moment because faith is such a hard thing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, believing in something that you can't physically see or touch, is a challenge, and I think everyone struggles with faith a little bit here and there. But at that moment, everything was answered and my eyes were literally just open. I felt like I was on like the Truman Show or something like that, like living in this fake world, and all of a sudden just like, oh my gosh. And I had like, holy shit, God is real. Like, and I just knew it at that time. And it was a life-changing moment.
Wow.
And it was the craziest thing coming back because I had just experienced the most amazing thing in my life. And I couldn't tell anyone, but and like, honestly, still to this day, I don't have words for it. And that was my biggest fear coming out of there, was just, how am I going to explain this? And another one of the things was God told me, don't worry about explaining it. Just lead by example and start with your wife, And little did I know, she needed it more than anyone.
How has your marriage changed since getting back from this trip?
Our marriage is great. It really is. And it's better than ever. And I'm working on becoming a better husband still, and hopefully I'm doing a better job.
We'll ask Bridget after the fact.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll get her on this after.
Yeah.
I think we're really in a religious recession in America at this point. It is no longer at the forefront of American life as it once was. What would you say to someone who's listening and perhaps has been maybe on the fence about Christianity for a while and really finds themselves needing something to believe in?
Yeah, I think if you go out, I mean, there's a Bible verse, draw near to God and God will draw near to you, right? You have to go out and try, right? So I say, if anyone's on the fence and is not sure, pick up the Bible and read a little bit of the Bible. And if God doesn't speak to you, then, do what you might, but try your hand at a church, go to church. I believe God will speak to you, but read the Bible. I mean, that is the biggest thing. And it's like, there are different Bibles out there. I have a new translated version, which essentially translates it in from like he, thee, thy, though, into our common language, right? Which is so much more understandable. Like they didn't just translate word to word. Like they really, there were hundreds of scholars who worked on it to make sure that it was accurate. So I have a new translated version. I would suggest people check that version of the Bible out. But it's a scary step changing yourself and living for God, because it's not of this world. Really, God, it's sacrifice, what you think you're going to be sacrificing, but really, if you live for God, you will be rewarded, not only on this earth, but in heaven as well. But your earthly rewards, like financially, I mean, my prayers are answered, and I really think it's because I'm trying my best to live for God. So try to pursue God, and I think God will speak to you.
So what do your daily routines and rituals like when it comes down to pursuing God?
Well, I haven't in a little bit, but I usually read the Bible just a little bit throughout the day. In the morning. And then that's really about it. I'll say, I say prayers throughout the day. I said a prayer before this podcast. I said, Lord, let me speak clearly. Let me have a powerful voice, Lord. If I have an opportunity to share your message, Lord, let me be convicting. So I'll say prayers throughout the day. But I'll also say prayers for reminders during opportunities for me to act godly in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, because I've lived so long in my old ways, that I can just, what am I trying to say? I want to recognize the moment where I might do something unchristian, right? And so I pray for God to send me a little reminder before I do something bad, essentially.
I imagine, because like I said, Christianity isn't as mainstream, if you will, as it used to be. Do you have to be very mindful of things you're saying, like to people who otherwise might not be religious? Do you change who you are around people, or do you just stay away from non-believers and just stick by the people that really believe?
No, I just, I'm definitely trying to surround myself with Christian friends, but my friends are my friends. I have atheist friends. I have, friends who, different religions, and I'm not trying to offend anyone by any means. I was at a funeral the other day, where, mom comes up to me. It's just a shame. We just don't know where we're going to go, after. And I didn't say anything, I wasn't going to try to convince her mind in a moment like that, I just, I will purposely stay away from someone who is rude. And if they don't believe in God and is not respecting my views or my lifestyle, I will definitely stay away from them. But, as long as I can be myself and do and say what I want to do without them persecuting me, then we can hang.
Last question from me, kind of out of left field, but you are a husband, a father, a Christian. You are many things. And I'm curious to know, what do you think in the year 2026, what do you think a good man is? What are the qualities of a good man?
I think someone who is, I'm just gonna physically in shape, right? Someone who's strong, someone who is strong-willed, knows what they want, right? Is not a coward, but won't bend to what others say or think, because you're going to get nowhere. There's going to be haters. There's going to be, opposition everywhere you go. And someone who does what they say and say what they does, is a strong characteristic of a man. Someone who, is strong, but is empathetic towards people who maybe is less fortunate. I think those are good qualities, and respects women, cares for them, loves for them, respects everyone. Yeah.
What about a father? What's a good father like?
A good father is caring, loving, a good teacher. That's your main job, is to teach and to make sure that keep your kid alive.
Fair. Need that to happen.
Yeah. Just showing love and being yourself, right? You don't have to do much. Your kid will look at you and will want to emulate you. So as long as you are a good example, then your kid most likely will follow in your shoes. Yeah.
I love it. 2 more quick fire questions. I lied. The last name Lago is a royalty around these parts, not only for your snowboarding prowess, but also ice cream.
Yes.
Lago's is just Lago's Ice Cream Shop. Is that the name of it? What's it? Okay.
Yeah.
On Lafayette. What's your go-to order there?
Oh man. I'm so simple. Like, I have all the flavors. There's so many flavors, and they're so good. I have my own flavor there.
Do you?
Yeah, it's called Bronze Run.
Wow.
It's a top seller. It's very delicious.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm a chocolate guy.
Yeah.
I just go straight up chocolate, and I also love a chocolate frap.
You like
too,
the classics.
So, yep.
And then one question I've been asking various people. We love, I call this the Seacoast a hidden gem of America.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, what do you think is a hidden gem of the Seacoast? What is a place, a business, an activity that's not enough people know about that you like a lot and want to call attention to?
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to go restaurant. I want to support local. I want to support very local.
Okay.
Jalisco's, which is right up the street. Delicious.
Really?
Authentic Mexican. One of my favorite spots.
Jalisco's?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Some people might call it Jalisco's.
Okay.
But very good spot. Owners are very friendly. They do great food.
Is it a sit down place or like a fast casual?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a sit down spot. Yep. So go check that out if you never have ate there before.
Okay, I think that covers it. Everyone go to Jalisco's in Seabrook, Southampton?
East Kingston, I believe.
East Kingston, okay.
Kensington. Yeah.
Okay, one of those.
Yeah. Should know. I think it's East Kingston.
Scotty Lago, a man of many talents. He is a YouTuber. He is an entrepreneur. He is a hunter. He is a father. He is a husband. And he is a bronze medalist. I was about to say former, but you were always an Olympian. So, Scotty, thank you so much for all you do for the Seacoast, for what you have done representing this country, and for everything you do. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Again, that's Scotty Lago, and if you want to check out some of his hunting vlogs, you can subscribe to his YouTube channel, Wild Lago. As for us, we are officially sold out for this Friday's Seacoast Stories Dinner Club in Newmarket, brought to you by Maine Love Water. I'm very excited to see a bunch of you there. If you haven't heard, by the way, we are expanding Dinner Club to 2 times per month during the winter months, and our next event is on February 18th in the foodie capital of Maine, Portland. If you want in, just click the link in the show notes to take the quiz and book your seat. Also, big shout out to Portsmouth City Lifestyle Magazine for featuring Seacoast stories in their February issue. Link to that article is in the show notes if you would like to read it. And a reminder, as always, that if you see me around the Seacoast this week, please stop me and say hi. I would love to hear your story. Until next time, have a great week. I will talk to you so soon. Go Patriots, live free or die.